Go.
Let's get it started, everybody. Welcome to the SparkPass News Update for August 1st, 2023. My name is Mark, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Spencer. Spence, how you doing, bud?
I am here.
I'm here. We're here.
That's about all I got this morning, man. It's been a week and it's Tuesday, bruh.
Dude, trust me when I tell you, I'm actually on vacation from work this week, and I'm like, bruh.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Is like you take a week of vacation, but it's like, okay, I got to catch up on all the shit that I haven't done because of work being in the way. And then it's like you're halfway through the week at that point. It's like Thursday, and you're like, fuck, I got to go back to work next week.
Yeah.
It's like I need 2 weeks minimum for an actual relaxation of 1 week is do all the dumb adult shit, and the next week is do all the dumb fun stuff that I want to do in my life.
Right, exactly. And I'm trying to squeeze in a whole board game convention in between on this one. So, like, I got to squeeze all that adult shit into, like, through to Wednesday.
Yeah.
So,
though, I feel like that's going to be worth it, right? Because you're going to get to do the super cool stuff with Gen Con. You're going to be exhausted afterwards, but it's going to be a good exhaustion, right?
Hopefully so. Hopefully so. I've got Gen Con coming up this week. Gen Con, one of my favorite times of year. So, yeah, hopefully I'll be better by the end of the week.
I have this weird thing in my life with Gen Con right now that since I've gotten like super into D&D stuff, that's like most of my internet connections with people now on like TikTok and social media. And I feel like everyone that I've never actually met in my life that I've met online is like going to Gen Con this weekend. It was like whenever I was really into streaming, it was like everybody's going to TwitchCon. Now it's like everybody's going to Gen Con. And I'm just kind of like, can't wait to see your pictures.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, at least Gen Con is close, right? Like
that's true. Like that's probably the most accessible one out of like every con for me, right? It's like that's at least in the same fucking state, which doesn't happen a lot for us.
Right, for sure. Yeah,
we live in a boring place, dude.
Yeah, we really do. Like, at least Gen Con is accessible. Yeah. All right, speaking of accessibility, you know what's really accessible is games on Game Pass. You just pay your subscription and you can just go play them. You can just go grab them.
Anytime. Sometimes you don't have to download them. You just play it.
You can just play them on the cloud. We've got a handful of games. A small little sample size. It's not a huge list. But a couple of them I know are really good games, and one of them is a game that I'm very excited about. So, definitely, we're going to talk about the slate, and then the plan for the rest of the show. Final Fantasy XIV is coming to Xbox. We want to talk about that a little bit, and the implications therein. And we missed our news show the last couple weeks due to some technical problems. We wanted to talk about Game Pass Core. Didn't get the chance to do it, so I wanted to do it today. So that's our itinerary for today. Let's get into it. Coming to Xbox Game Pass 1 hour ago, just announced. Let's get into the slate. First off, the game we already knew that was coming because it was on the end of last month's slate. Celeste. It's coming to cloud, console, and PC today. It's available right now. If you wanted to stop watching this mess and go play Celeste, I would not blame you.
No, Celeste is amazing.
It is a fantastic video game. It is not Celeste's first go-around on Xbox Game Pass. I think this is the second time Celeste has been on Game Pass.
Okay. I got it through Games with Gold back in the day. That's how I played it the first time.
That might be what I'm thinking of as well.
I feel like that is, because I don't remember it being on Game Pass, but I do remember the Games with Gold, because I was initially like, I would probably never play this game. And then I looked at it a little bit on Games with Gold, and I was like, well, I don't have to pay for it. It looks fun. Let's try it. And then I was like, I'm terrible at platforming, but this story is so good.
Yeah, they really did a fantastic job with the story of that game.
Yeah.
Absolutely a must-play IMO. Like, if you're not a hardcore platforming fan, I think the early stages are straightforward enough that you can at least get far along enough to get invested.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you bounce off of it whenever things get too hard, I think that's fair. But, like, I would at least recommend giving this game a try, because I don't think this game is too hard to start off with.
Yeah.
It gets that way later. The back half of this game is brutal. But the front half of it is great, and the story is fantastic. Pixel art's really good. This is made by the same folks that made Towerfall, which was a fantastic sort of party multiplayer game. And this is their single player effort, and it's just fantastic stuff. So if you haven't played Celeste, if you didn't get it on Games with Gold a few years back, here's your opportunity now. Go check it out. Celeste is a fantastic video game.
Yeah, you kind of covered it. I don't have a whole lot else to say. That game slaps, dude.
Yeah, it's real good. There's not much else to say. It's real fucking good. Go play it.
Maybe like keep a box of tissues nearby because the story gets kind of emotional.
It does. Yeah,
so
that's true.
you might shed a tear or two because it is a very deep emotional story for cutesy pixel art game, right? Like kind of like we talked about with Turnip Boy. It's like,
yeah,
this game's really cute. God damn, this is a deep story.
Right, yeah. No, it does the same kind of thing, for sure. So that's absolutely one worth checking out if you've never played it before. I have a feeling a lot of people have played that one by this point. It's not like an undercover hidden gem or anything.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of like one of those games that's an indie game that comes out and people are like, oh, it's a little indie game, whatever. And then it blows up on the internet and people are like, this game is so fucking good. You should play it.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely felt like one of those. So if you haven't gotten your hands on it, do so. It's literally out today. You can put it up on the second monitor while you're watching this right now. So do that. But let's talk about the stuff that's not available today, the stuff that's coming out the rest of this month. August 3rd, Cloud, Console, and PC, A Short Hike. This is another indie game. I'm just going to read the description straight up from the Xbox Wire. Hike, climb, and soar through the peaceful mountainside landscape of Hawk Peak Provincial Park. Follow marked trails or explore the backcountry as you make your way to the summit. Along the way, meet other hikers, discover hidden treasures, and take in the... That just sounds lovely.
Right? This
Like,
just
that
sounds
just-
like a nice, relaxing time.
That just sounds really nice. Like, to me, I read that and I assume, like, oh, it's a walking simulator. You meet some folks. You know, you talk to them. It doesn't sound like there's a whole hell of a lot of a plot there. Like,
Yeah,
that
I
just-
mean,
That just sounds lovely.
yeah. It looks maybe like a little puzzly in some parts. Like just looking at like your bird that gets to fly. So there's probably going to be some times you have to figure out how to get across stuff. But like,
Right.
yeah, I don't feel like this is going to be a deep story game. You know, I could be wrong though. But if nothing else, like that just sounds like a relaxing time, right?
That sounds like we can take like 2 or 3 hours out of our day.
Yeah.
And just like, yeah, okay.
That
I
sounds...
would much rather go take a walk in the woods up a mountain than do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
This feels like a really good one to like kick back with like a nice hot tea or a coffee and just chill for a little while. Like just get away from the bullshit of the world and be a bird in the woods.
Yeah.
All of our dreams.
All of our dreams. Just be a bird in the woods. That sounds great. Next game, Spencer. This is one we've played before. Cast your mind back, Spencer. Way back to not Spark Pass, but Spark Gaming.
Yup.
The brief time we did a Let's Play channel. A fine 6 months to a year that it was. You remember Broforce?
I do remember Broforce.
An awesome, silly 1980s run and gun side scroller.
Yep.
Broforce Forever is coming to console, cloud, and PC August 8th. This is a content update for Broforce, which offers a quote, I'm quoting here from the article, an improved and expanded campaign with new unlocks, along with 6 new ultra-patriotic bros and 4 new democracy-spreading challenge levels. You can see in the key art here that one of the Broforce bros, it looks like Xena Warrior Princess, but a dude.
Yep.
Literally like wearing the boob plate still, which is funny. Broforce is a very silly but and actually quite challenging side-scrolling run and gun game. So I haven't played the Forever update of it, but we played the original back in the day. I had a fun time with Broforce. This is definitely one that's like on the radar for me.
Yeah, this was like, I remember playing it as just like kind of a goofy fun time, right? Like,
Yeah.
there was nothing about this game that I took serious for even a second, but damn, did we have fun and laugh a lot.
Totally.
Like,
yeah,
it's
no,
just so outrageous the entire time that it's like, you feel like it can't say something more ridiculous. and then it
Yeah,
does.
Yeah, for sure. It's like very much a parody
Right.
of the 1980s like action movie hero nonsense with the gameplay of like a Contra, which
Yeah.
like I frankly you can't really beat. Like that's just good, clean fun for the family.
Yeah, it's a good
As
time.
long Yeah, as long as your family likes explosions and blood, it's a good, fun, clean time for the whole family.
Well, listen, Mark, whose doesn't, right? Whose family doesn't love those things?
Whose family does? We live in America, for God's sake. We love blood.
Yeah, that's called Friday night.
Broforce, absolutely go check that one out too. I feel like we're just like the theme of this month's Game Pass slate is indie bangers that you should have already played, and if you haven't, get on that. The theme continues.
It kind of
August
is,
9th,
yeah.
Cloud, console, and PC, August 9th. Limbo. This is an Xbox Live Arcade classic indie side-scrolling adventure game. Inside, which was the follow-up, was already on Game Pass. So having Limbo on the service is really nice. I feel like
That's why I'm thinking it was on there, because Inside's on there, I bet.
Yeah, Inside's on there, and Limbo was also another Games with Gold game. I wonder, we're going to talk about it later, now that Games with Gold is going away, I wonder if they're just sort of like taking the highlights, like the best Games with Gold games of the last several years, and just signing them up, slapping them up on Game Pass.
It could be. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea, right? Especially,
because
to fill the gaps of bigger games, right? Like, I mean, I don't know what else we have this month, but obviously this month we have Texas Chainsaw, which is probably the bigger game that's going to hit Game Pass most of the month. And then, I mean, next month, I guess we have Starfield. Like, that's kind of a big game from what I've heard, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, that would make sense and be a good gap filler to kind of come back to those developers in the past of, hey, Games with Gold was pretty cool. We don't really have that anymore. But you know what we do have? Game Pass. What if you just put your game on there and we give you some more money for a game that you made a decade ago?
Right, for sure. Yeah. And Limbo is a fantastic game. If you somehow have been living under a rock for the past decade, or if you weren't around in gaming a decade ago, if you're not an old like me.
Stop it. Stop it. Those people don't exist, Mark. That's not a thing. Oh my God.
If you're not an old like we are, Limbo is absolutely a fantastic game that's well worth checking out. And it's not super long either. It's like a 6-ish hour, boy. Super atmospheric, grim, 2D platformer. Absolutely worth the look if you haven't checked it out before.
Yeah.
So that game's definitely worth checking out. Again, the hits keep on coming. Okay, next one on our list. Maybe not so much of a hit for us, but, you know, other people may like it. Airborne Kingdom, August 10th. Cloud, console, and PC. Airborne city building and management game. I feel like that's all we need to say for both of us to just be like, cool, live your life, Airborne Kingdom. I hope you enjoy life out there in the streets.
Yeah.
But Spencer and I will not play it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the listing for it on Steam to see some of like the pictures and videos and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I like the twist on like a sim game, right? Like city building simulator, but you have to make it fly and float and stuff. That's kind of neat. If you're into those kind of games, like it feels like this would probably be a good refreshing time. But yeah, this is not a game for me.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Like this is not one that I'm particularly, but that is a cool twist, right? Like
yeah, it's different.
Yeah, I like the ingenuity, the thinking there is solid.
Yeah.
Spencer, let's talk about, in my opinion, my humble boy opinion, I'm also excited about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I'm real excited.
I'm not gonna
Can't remember the fucking name, Mark.
I'm also excited about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. In fact, we're playing it for the show, for our game club show for next month. So, excited to check that one out. But Spencer, for me, the big game on Game Pass this month, game I'm going to spend a lot more time with now that my PC won't scream at me for playing it. Everspace 2, coming to Cloud and Xbox Series X and S August 15th. I've been singing this game's praises for months.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic spaceship looter shooter. It's got a great single player campaign. It's got like this long tail to it where you can just sit and grind loot on it for your spaceship for forever. It's a fucking fantastic video game. And now I don't have to listen to the fans whine at high speed.
You don't have to listen to your computer turn into a spaceship anymore.
Right, exactly. Which, like, in a way, was kind of immersive.
You're gonna buy some fans, like desk fans, to put them next to you and like blow on your face while you're playing, so you still hear it.
Right. Yeah. That way, I still have something of the experience.
Sound.
But genuinely, though, this is a fantastic game. Highest possible recommendation for me. Absolutely go and check this one out if you've got the spare time. This is honestly like if you're super excited for Starfield, this is a perfect like warm-up game. You know what I mean?
Kind of get you in that space theme, get you pulled in.
And the game is like fairly like, you know, Starfield is such a big story game. I would not call the story of Everspace 2 like truly vital and fantastic. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's not like we're not changing the world with this narrative. It's like, you're a clone. Clone guys found out you got out. Shoot the man. Like it's not a particularly deep and complex story. It's told well, but it's fairly straightforward, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely go check this one out. If you're excited about Starfield and you just want to get in the zone, like, I mean, let's be real. Other than this, it's like, okay, go play No Man's Sky for the 24th time, which, like, don't get me wrong, I'm also down to do too. But
also good.
Also good. If you want to do that, that's also fine. But if you want something new, you want a fresh taste, you want a new taste of the, I don't know what this was. But Everspace 2 is a fantastic video game, is my point. And you should absolutely, positively, 100,000% go check this one out. That one's coming to Game Pass August 15th. That's a pretty, honestly, like, it's not a lot of new. So if you're like Cult of the New, it's not a particularly good Game Pass slate. But in terms of like quality of games, Celeste, Limbo, Everspace 2 can't be mad.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot be mad at that slate. Yeah, Broforce is a solid game, too. Like, Short Hike sounds lovely. The only one that's kind of literally the only one in this list that's a miss for us is Airborne Kingdom.
Yeah. And even then, like, that may not be a bad game. That's just not my jam.
Yeah, it's just genre preference, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is a damn good slate for you know, normally when we get these slates that are like, a bunch of indie stuff, people are kind of like ho-hum about it, you know?
Yeah.
As far as indie slates go, that's a damn good indie slate. And later this month, we've got both Texas Chainsaw and Sea of Stars, which is another game that I'm like suddenly very excited about. Another indie RPG offering. So, I mean, yeah, like August is shaping up to be a pretty damn solid month. The sort of prelude to the big months, right?
Yeah.
Like we're working our way up. September really is when like the bombs start dropping. Right, like that. Obviously, Starfield sort of starts the summer, the fall game season, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks. We do have a couple games leaving Game Pass, Spencer, and mention these for the last couple weeks because they haven't been anything significant. These actually kind of are. These are actually some decently sized games.
Yeah.
Leaving August 15th, Edge of Eternity on Cloud Console and PC. Midnight Fight Express, Cloud Console and PC, and then here's the two biggies. Total War Warhammer 3 on PC. That's a big loss. And Death Stranding on PC. Remember when Death Stranding on PC coming to Game Pass was like a huge-ass deal?
Yeah.
That was a big deal game. Never came to console because I'm sure Sony was in the wet works on that one. 100%.
Yeah, it was a PlayStation console exclusive.
Yeah, so I'm sure Sony was in the works on that one. But it did come to PC Game Pass, so you've still got 15 days if you want to check out Death Stranding before it goes. That's definitely one that I would recommend giving a look, because it's just so different. It's such a bizarre video game.
Yeah.
Like it's just such a different take on your traditional like third person adventure game. It's a bizarre video game. So like go check it out if you've got the PC to run it. And Total War Warhammer is a big loss. That is a very popular franchise. Like Warhammer is probably like the most popular version of Total War. That's a strategy game that even I will play. Right? Like I really enjoy the Total War Warhammer games. So losing the third one here kind of sucks. But I mean, that game's been out long enough now that like you could probably find it on the cheap. So that one's not a gigantic deal, but that is a great video game. So definitely one to check out before it leaves Game Pass. And you know, as always, you get the 20% off on it. So
yeah,
go check that out. Anyway, that's the Game Pass slate. Again, I feel like that's a pretty solid slate.
I like that a lot. You know, I know, like you said, a lot of people are kind of, like kind of ho-hum on indie months, but I mean, we've said it time and time again, not every month can be the biggest month, right? Eventually, a month has to be a smaller month. Or they're just, you know, you can't put out 4 million blockbusters every single month and expect it to be A, profitable, and B, something that people can actually use and enjoy, right? Like if every one of these was a 50-hour AAA game, you'd play one of them and that's it.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So I dig it. I like the indie months. I think that they're a nice filler between the big times, right? And you know, we've said a few of these are definitely older games that were really good, and there's a good chance if you're this deep into gaming, you've played them, but why not play it again?
Right.
Games have replayability. They're still fun.
Yeah, why not play it again? Or, like, again, I hate to say this because it does make me sound old. There's a lot of people that weren't around when Limbo first came out.
Yeah.
You know?
Or they tried it and didn't get into it. And it's like, well, now I can give it another try.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of good in going back and like the whole idea of Xbox Game Pass is it's this curated game service, right? Like that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So to have that like sort of curated experience come back around, it's good, I think. I think it's good for, you know, people that don't normally check out indie games, right? There's a huge slate of gamers that play like 3 games a year. And that's like it. Right?
It's true.
So when you come and check out Xbox Game Pass, like, yeah, you're coming for the first party big AAA Microsoft games. That's the reason you walk in the door. But like once you're there, like, oh, hey, you remember hearing about this a decade ago on Xbox Live Arcade? Oh, hey, didn't your buddy say that Celeste was a fantastic? Like, here they all are. Check them out.
Yep, exactly.
That to me is like the big win of Game Pass just overall is like it's a reason to go check out all of these old things. Anyway, that's the Game Pass slate. Speaking of big exciting games coming to Xbox, Spencer, I did want to touch on this briefly. I don't want to go in too much depth about it because it is not coming to Game Pass. They very clearly indicated that this is not going to be a Game Pass thing. You're almost assuredly going to have to buy that separate sub because God knows Square Enix needs the money. Final Fantasy XIV. At the Final Fantasy XIV Fan Fest that took place last week, Phil Spencer just showed up. Brother just walked on the stage as if, you know, all the talk of like Square Enix and Microsoft have a bad relationship was nothing.
Yep.
Like, as if everything was chill, no big deal. And the director of the game and Phil announced that Final Fantasy XIV is finally, after these many years, coming to Xbox. It'll be coming to Xbox next year in preparation for the next big Final Fantasy XIV expansion. I believe they said that they're aiming for spring 2024, and the big expansion is coming out in the summer. So it's going to be like hey, come in early, get caught up, and then play the new expansion when it comes out in the summer. Obviously, this is like one of the biggest games in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, Final Fantasy XIV is sort of like, I would argue, taken World of Warcraft's spot as like the premier MMO. in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know that I disagree with that.
Like, it's certainly close, right? Like, you think about, like, a decade ago, World of Warcraft was this behemoth, right? And frankly, Microsoft is bringing World of Warcraft into the fold, too, once they buy Activision. So, like, they're making a concerted effort, a concerted move into these MMO-style games. If you think about it, Final Fantasy XIV is going to be on Xbox now. WoW is going to be owned by them. Fucking Elder Scrolls Online is going to be owned by them.
Yep.
And there's probably more that I'm forgetting. That will have access on the Xbox platform. These are very important games to go get, in my opinion.
Oh,
These
yeah.
are huge games, huge install bases, and if you can scooch them on over to your platform, like, hey, you can play your game, the main game you play, on our platform now. Now people will actually consider you.
Yeah.
Right? And they did say it's cross-compatible, cross-save, you know, just like Final Fantasy XIV is on PlayStation. It's the same deal, right? So obviously this isn't going to be a Game Pass game, but I did want to mention it briefly and get your thoughts on it, Spence, because I do think it's a big deal for Xbox as a brand to get together with Square Enix and make this thing happen.
Yeah, it absolutely is. This is a big deal. I don't particularly want to play the game, but millions of people do, right? So to have that on your platform, whether it's exclusive or not, is a big deal, right? Because there are absolutely people who will look at all of the places they can play their main game and then say, well, can I play other games there too? And sure, a lot of people are probably playing Final Fantasy on a PC, right? But not everybody is. Not everybody wants that. Some people just want to sit on their couch and play Xbox.
Yeah, there are a ton of people who play that game on PlayStation. I think the game overall has like 27 million subscribers or something like that, and a ton more free-to-play players, because they let you play the first 2 expansions for free.
Oh, okay. That's even better, honestly.
Yeah. So there's 27 million people subbed for the latest stuff, and then the first 2 expansions are free. So this game has hundreds of millions of players, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure the number's gigantic. And a ton of those people play on PlayStation because they prefer the console experience, right? Like, they're very similar games on console and PC, because I've tried them on both. Not my jam, but I've tried it. Yeah, like, there's no reason not to offer it, and Microsoft's relationship with Square Enix has been called into question so many times lately. Like, when you look at all the games that Square Enix puts out that are like PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, where's Xbox? Chirp, chirp, crickets, right? Like,
yeah.
Some of that is Sony moving in with the exclusivity money, right? That's what happened with Final Fantasy 16. That's what happened with Final Fantasy 7 Remake, right?
Yeah.
Some of that is Sony moving in with the exclusivity money. But even when they don't, lately it has very much been like, well, we're putting it out on PlayStation and Switch. That's what we're doing. And PC. Literally everywhere but Xbox. So for them to make this deal, I think indicates that Phil is serious about solving that problem, right? There's very obviously something has gone haywire in that relationship where that has continued to happen over and over and over again, where they just skip Xbox entirely. To me, this is an indication of Phil is like, I know, we're going to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, whatever that issue is, obviously I don't know, right? Whether it was just contract agreements they couldn't come to. It's probably something businessy versus just like someone at Square Enix was like, I don't like Xbox. You know what I mean? Like, there's just business they had to come together on. And, you know, I feel like this and a lot of the other like a lot of the JRPGs that have been coming to Xbox is kind of, you know, Phil Spencer at the lead, but also I'm sure the rest of the team that runs the business side of Xbox going, hey, we want these here because, you know, money, but also like, let's get everything we can on this platform.
Yeah.
To give customers the option to play as many things as we can. Obviously, you're not going to get God of War on Xbox Xbox, right?
Right.
That is a
right,
Sony
yeah.
title is a Sony title forever, unfortunately. But things that aren't Sony first party like this, it is nothing but good to bring them to the Xbox platform, right? Even if it's games we don't want to play, having things be more accessible and open is better for all of video games, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Even if this doesn't drive a ton of Xbox sales, it's like, well, I have an Xbox and all my friends play Final Fantasy Online. Or Final Fantasy 14, I'm sorry. I don't have a PC or don't want to sit at my PC all the fucking time because it's not as comfortable as the damn couch. They're bringing it to Xbox. I can finally join my friends. Or all of my friends bought a PlayStation 5 because Final Fantasy 14 was their main thing. It wasn't my main thing, but I would play it if I had the option. Now they have the option. Like, that's what it's all about, is the options.
Exactly. It's giving people the most options possible. Yeah, I definitely agree with you that, like, I think the team at Xbox has made it clear, and they've talked in the past at, like, E3 briefings and stuff about, like, how Japanese games are, like, the cultural heritage of video games sort of starts in Japan.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Like, in the United States, at least, like, after the crash, like, Nintendo saves the industry in the United States.
Mhm.
Right? Like, straight up. And they've talked about how important that is, that Xbox is wired into that scene, right?
Right.
Square Enix just sold all of their non-Japanese studios, right? They sold them all to Embracer. They've been focusing in on becoming a more Japanese-centric company, and let's be real, Xbox is not a big deal brand in Japan.
No.
So them continuing to, like, make the effort and try to wire in and try to get everything they can get. Obviously, their audience is Western-centric, so they're mostly looking for Western-centric Japanese-made games, right?
Right.
That's most of what they're looking for. But anytime you can make little inroads into that country is always a good thing, right? It's always, they're one big thing away from busting that market wide open, and then maybe eventually they'll finally sell some damn Xboxes in Japan. They've been trying for 20 years. It still hasn't worked.
Yeah.
Right?
And even if they don't get to that point, they might bring more games from Japan that maybe wouldn't have made it to the Xbox in the US or been as popular to the US, because people will say, "Oh, well, I tried a game similar to it and loved it. Why wouldn't I want to play this one too?"
Right.
Like
for
it
sure.
it can open doors both ways, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. And the second thing is probably more important to Xbox's strategy overall.
I think it is too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think they realize that, like, that's a hard road to hoe because they've been trying to do it for 20 years. And again, aside from a brief glimmer of hope in the Xbox 360 era, Xboxes have historically just not done well in that country.
Yeah.
Which, like, it's okay. When you have the other two manufacturers are based in Japan,
It's kind of hard to compete, right?
it's hard to compete, right? Like, national pride does come in at some point, right?
Yeah. Or just like ease of accessibility of things for developers,
That too.
I'm sure too.
That too, yeah, for sure. A lot of stuff like that comes into play. So I wanted to bring this up not because, like, I don't think this is coming to Game Pass. They made no indications that it's coming to Game Pass, and
Yeah.
frankly, if they did, it would be gigantic. But they didn't make those indications. I'm assuming Square Enix wants that sweet, sweet subscription money, and I cannot blame them because this is their cash cow right now.
Yeah.
I cannot necessarily blame them, but I do think it's a big deal of, like, we've documented for months and months and months and months of, like, Xbox is still trying to make those inroads in Japan. They're still making it happen. They're trying, right? The effort is there. They've made the connections with Atlas now.
Yeah.
They've made the connection. Now they're working on getting Square Enix firmly back in their stable, right? Like, they're working on it. You can tell that they're trying,
Yeah.
which I think is important. Like, they're not just throwing their hands up and going, well, Sony just keeps throwing money at all these Japanese publishers. Guess we're fucked. Right?
Right.
Like, they're actively trying.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they've got a good relationship with Capcom at this point. They're actively trying in all of these markets. They're not just going to let Sony and Nintendo run over them in Japan, which is good. So that's the main reason I wanted to bring that up. I am genuinely curious to maybe try out 14 whenever it comes to Xbox. I've tried it once before and didn't have anybody to play it with, but I do have friends that play it. Final Fantasy 14 is the fighting game community retirement home. Like once you're done with fighting games, once you play Final Fantasy 14 on stream. Once you decide you're done, funny. Final Fantasy 14 is the retirement home. So I have a lot of old fighting game friends that play this game.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So like I have people to check it out with if I do decide I want to check it out.
Yeah.
I just didn't like playing on PC. So
that's totally fair. I mean, I've always kind of felt like MMOs feel more like a PC experience. Sure. Maybe they don't anymore because the last time I played an MMO was like I played ESO for like a month. But before that was World of Warcraft, and I played like during the Lich King expansion, so fucking 15 years ago at this point, almost 20, right. Or however long that was. It's been a while. I was in high school. I don't think I could drive yet. That's how long ago this was.
Right.
So maybe it's a little bit better now on controller than it used to be, right? Whenever I've tried like old MMO style games with a controller, it felt weird, or it seemed like it made more sense on a keyboard to me. Yeah, I don't know. Like now that I know it's free for the first couple expansions and it's not like a level lock thing, I feel like I would be more interested in trying it. But I have like pretty much most of my life since I quit playing WoW said that I don't have a lot of interest in playing a game that requires a subscription. Yeah. Because I pay $15 a month for Game Pass, and I get thousands of games, or I pay $15 a month for Final Fantasy 14 to play one game, and I'm just flat out not doing that. Even if I had the time to like dedicate to it, I'm just flat out not doing that. I don't feel like it's a good use of my money.
That's fair. No, I totally get it. I think they do cap your level at level 70 for a free-to-play player, but
that's pretty far, though. It's not like level 20.
You won't hit level 70 until you're almost done with those expansions.
Yeah, which I feel like is not as bad, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But that's why I've been saying since, like, the beginning of the talks of, like, Activision, Blizzard, merger, whole thing, I was like, I'm telling you right now, if you include World of Warcraft with a Game Pass subscription, you're going to pull in so many fucking people to that game. It's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen, but I'm saying if it happened, you'd pull people in and could probably shift that model to microtransactions of in-game items and make significantly more money. In the long run. In the short term, it wouldn't, so that's why it's not going to happen, because investors. But I'm telling you, man, I don't run a business, but I'm telling you how to run your business.
Spencer, but if this quarter number don't go up, what will I tell the god of capitalism?
Exactly. That's therein lies the problem.
Therein lies the problem. Yeah, like if number don't go up, it become blood for the blood god.
Yep.
Like if they are not fed with money, they must be fed by blood. That is the reason that WoW subscriptions will never get rolled into Game Pass. I wouldn't be surprised if they offered a bundle. Like, hey, save $5, you get both, right? I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
I could see that, and that's not the worst deal in the world if you pay for both or like want to. And I mean, in WoW, you can pay your subscription with in-game gold if you earn it, right? But I think it is a little bit of a grind. So if you're not somebody who plays WoW every single night as like your only game, you're probably not going to get there. And if you're the person who plays WoW every night as your only game, the subscription is probably worth the money to you, right? So I mean, it's probably who cares at that point.
Right, exactly. Real quick, Spence, that's my ramble on Final Fantasy 14. Real quick, while we're talking about the dollars and cents of how you play your games, Microsoft is throwing a new offering at us in the Game Pass land and sort of restructuring the pricing structure a little bit, and I did want to talk about that.
Okay.
In September, Games with Gold and Xbox Live Gold is going away. Xbox Live Gold is dead in September. September 14th, to be precise. First of all, that's an end of an era. So, like,
it is, dude.
Real quickly, like, Xbox Live brand is officially dead now. It's officially gone
Yeah.
in September.
That's almost
which is
something I
like-
felt like I'd never see, right?
Yeah, for sure. It was such a big deal when it first happened, right? Like, Xbox Live was online gaming
Yeah.
for console players for a good long while.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was even,
and-
at the time, the only one that cost money.
yeah,
PSN used to be free on the PS3, if you remember back in the day. And people
Yeah.
still flocked to the Xbox 360 to pay $60 a year for Xbox Live because it was such a better experience.
yeah, 100%. And I mean, it goes to show that if you provide a good experience, people will pay for it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And now that's dead. Xbox Live is going away because that name brand, frankly, only has value still to us old people.
It's true.
The kids don't like Xbox Live. The kids don't give a shit, right? Like, that name brand has value to us, but if you're 18 and you didn't grow up with it, you don't give a shit, right? The new thing, the hotness right now, is Game Pass. So they're converting Xbox Live Gold to an experience called Game Pass Core. And I think this is interesting because this is, quite frankly, not that dissimilar from the model that PlayStation is doing with PS Plus now. PS Plus has an essential line, and then they have a like ultimate equivalent. I forget exactly what the ultimate equivalent is called.
It's something
and then they have
like that, yeah.
They have a mid tier too, like where you don't get everything unless you're on the like platinum complete holy motherfucker edition. I don't know what it is over on PlayStation.
That sounds right. I mean,
Yeah,
the name
I'm
seems
sure-
pretty legit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Holy Motherfucker edition. So what they're doing, basically, Games with Gold is going away, which, quite frankly, I don't think... good. If you weren't going to revamp Games with Gold to have actual games in it, kill it. That's fine.
Yeah, I kind of don't care, right? Like, when's the last time that I cared about a game that came to Games with Gold? Celeste, maybe?
Celeste. I think
2 to
was-
3 years ago?
Yeah, I think Celeste
Like,
was
it's
like
been
the
a
last
minute.
one. Yeah, for sure. They haven't put... Because they've been putting all their effort into putting things into Game Pass.
Which makes
their money
sense,
driver.
right?
It totally
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but like Games with Gold just sort of fell by the wayside. So it just became this bad PR beat every month. Of like, the games in Games with Gold are shitty again. What a surprise, right? Like, it gets rid of that bad PR beat. So
Yeah.
like,
I even kind of forgot Games with Gold was a thing sometimes until I would see a tweet with, like, the 2 games coming for the month, and then I would look at it and go, why the fuck would I want that?
right,
And then I would
yeah.
move. I was like, who cares?
Yeah.
I think I
They are-
added this month's to my library because they did actually look sort of interesting. But that was because I was looking through Game Pass at something else and was like, oh, well, those are free. I'll put them in there. But it was like a very like pretty artsy indie game of some kind. And I was like, I like pretty art. And then I added it to my library and will probably never play it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't tend to roll super hot in Games with Gold. So don't worry about it anymore. Games with Gold is dead. Instead, if you're an Xbox Live Gold subscriber right now, you're going to be converted to Game Pass Core on September 14th. Nothing is going to change for you. You'll still have access to online play. And instead of getting Games with Gold games, you will get access to a 25-ish game library of core games from the Xbox Game Pass library. There's a handful that they listed here. I'm just going to rattle these off real quick. Among Us, Descenders, Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal, Fable Anniversary, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Grounded, Halo 5 Guardians, Halo Wars 2, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, Human Fall Flat, Inside, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Psychonauts 2, State of Decay 2, and The Elder Scrolls Online, Tamriel Unlimited. Those are the games that they have confirmed are coming. They say it's going to be about 25 games, and they're going to rotate those games in and out 2 to 3 times a year is the plan. I'm sure there will be some games that hold in there for the full, like, the whole time. They're like, I have a hard time imagining they're going to rotate, like, Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online out of there, right? I have a hard time imagining that. But the rest of these, they'll rotate them in and out with, like, stuff that's not brand new, right?
Yeah.
That seems to be the vibe here, because we're looking at like Gears 5, Halo 5, Ori and the Will of the Wisps is a couple years old at this point. Psychonauts 2 is a couple years old at this point, so it's obviously not the latest and greatest. They want you to pay for Ultimate for that. But it's like that's a good list of games. Like, I'm not like, if you presented me with that list and I didn't pay money for the service, I'd go, okay, I paid for that for a couple of months to play those games. There's some good games in there.
Yeah, and like I feel like that's probably gonna be. This feels like it's probably gonna be the better way to go about that, right? If nothing else, for Microsoft, this is probably gonna be easier to say, all right, well, maybe we didn't get a lot of games that we want to add to it right now. Cool, throw one of our first-party games in there. Yeah. Right? Like, it's easy for them to say, we can easily add things to this. But having 25 games that you get access to, that might rotate to be sometimes similar to Game Pass. It's going to have things you like, some things you don't like, right? I feel like that's better than, here's 2 games that you probably don't want.
Right.
I mean... maybe I'm wrong, but that's just kind of the way that I see it.
Yeah, I feel like it's an improvement of an offering over Games with Gold.
Exactly.
100%. Like, it's an improvement for sure. So here's where my problems start to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think this is like a gigantic problem, but I do think it's confusing, and I'm all about minimizing confusion for the buyer, right? So basically how this is going to work now, we did also announce a slight price bump for Game Pass for console and Game Pass Ultimate with this. The core experience is going to stay at $9.99 a month, so $10. Console is going up $1, $10.99, $11. Here, Game Pass for PC is staying at $10, and Ultimate is going to be at $17. Here's that price change, by the way, that got announced a while ago. I felt like it sucks, but it's inevitable, right? Like, everything, the price is going up on everything. So, like, Wall Street knows they can get away with it. So
yay!
Right? And frankly, I get enough use out of Game Pass that paying $2 extra for me, totally worth it. But I totally get that might be bank busting for some people.
Yeah.
Here's where my problems come in, though, Spence. PC Game Pass, $9.99. You get access to the whole library, everything. You can play online with your friends, no big deal. Core, you can play online with your friends, but you get a limited selection of games. Console is $1 or more. You get access to the full Game Pass library. You don't get online play. What is up with that?
Yeah, that's stupid.
Like, that's just going to cause confusion. Like, that just causes confusion for little Timmy rolls on up to his Xbox. He has Xbox Live Gold. That's all he's ever wanted. And it's Christmas time, Spencer. So you know what? We're going to upgrade him to the full Game Pass library. And then he goes and tries to play Fortnite with his friends. And we don't have access to online play anymore. But we're paying for the more premium service. It's the more expensive service. But It doesn't include online play. Even though the lesser, like, lower on the totem pole service does. Even though the equivalent service on PC does. Obviously, they can't gate PC online play. But just for this example, right? You can play online with your friends on PC. You can play online with your friends on Core. On specifically console, you can't. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
I do not understand the logic other than they want console players to pay for Ultimate, which, like, I will be honest with you, most of them already do. In the court proceedings, it came out that, like, they talked a lot about their Game Pass numbers. 70 to 80% of people who subscribe to Game Pass at all subscribe to Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, most people are paying for Ultimate anyway, right? So I just don't understand, like, the logic here, other than we want to force console players to pay for Ultimate when PC players can pay less, which again makes console players feel like second-class citizens. Right?
Yeah, like
I don't get the logic. I don't understand it.
I don't either. Like I can see if they had made it like, I don't know, go from $10 a month to $12 a month if you have to up the costs to have both all the games and online play, right? Like just make that the price to not be in Ultimate, and then make Ultimate be its own thing. And those are the only two things we need. I don't get it. Like it seems stupid.
I don't understand it either, man. Like I really don't understand it. I mean, like, granted, I'm invested enough that I'm just gonna pay for Ultimate anyway, right? Like, so this doesn't affect me. This doesn't affect the hardcore, right?
Yeah.
But if you're bringing in a casual player who has core, who has Xbox Live Gold, right? Because they've been paying for that for a decade, right? But they only play like the 3 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about your normal casual gamer who buys FIFA, Madden, and one shooter a year, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about that, like, core casual audience of, like, you know, dude bro that plays like 3 games. If you want to bring him in of like, oh, hey, check out this core list of 25 games. If you pay $1 more, you can get the full list. And then you, like, sneaky don't tell him, oh, by the way, you're going to have to pay $8 more, or you won't get to play online with the games that you normally play. That's just going to piss people off.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They're going to feel like they were tricked.
Yep.
Right? It's going to be a feels bad experience for them. That's what I'm looking out for with stuff like that. It just doesn't... I don't get it.
Yeah, I feel like at that
understand
point, like, it would make more sense to just not have the console at all. Like, just make it core and Ultimate. Like, you get online play with all of them. If you want the full Game Pass library, you gotta pay more. I get it. There's a lot of games. Just a lot of people may not need that or want that, right?
Yeah.
Like, the console being in there is just stupid. Get rid of that entirely.
I get why PC Game Pass is being...
Oh, well,
kept
that's
at
fine.
the $10
PC can
price
stay
point.
its own thing, yeah.
Yeah. I get why that's staying at the price point that it's at, because it's having to compete with Steam and Epic, right?
Yeah.
Like, it has to stay competitive with them.
For sure.
Like, I kind of understand that. But again, if you turn around... By the way, PC Game Pass includes EA Play. Console Game Pass doesn't. That's only in Ultimate if you're a console player. So, that's yet another thing.
Yeah.
That's yet another thing that's like... parity. Just make it equal for everybody.
Exactly. And I can see them saying, hey, on console, we do have to make core $2 more a month than PC because we have to pay for the online servers, right? Like, we are running the online gaming for the Xbox side, and that's going to cost more.
Right.
And I feel like that would be fine with most people. So PC, $10 a month. Core, $12 a month. Ultimate, $16 a month. And then leave the tiers how they are, I guess, at that point. Like, say if you want all the games, you have to get Ultimate. If not, that's totally cool, man. We'll give you 25 of them. You can still play online with your friends. And console doesn't exist to get rid of this headache.
Quite frankly, if they got rid of that speed bump, I think the rest of this structure is great.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the rest of this. The rest of this is awesome. It replaces Xbox Live Gold with something that's actually useful. It replaces games with gold with something that's actually useful. You can still play online with your friends. Ultimate still gives you access to EA Play and playing games on cloud. Great. That's an incentive to go get Ultimate if you want to play everything on everything, right?
Yeah.
If you want the full experience. Like, I feel like if it... Microsoft just has these classic step on the fucking rake moments that drive me nuts. It's like, if you just fix this one stupid thing that's going to make a lot of people mad, this would be great.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got that one stupid thing in there. It's like, that's an own goal. Why did they do that? Right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Microsoft does this constantly where it's like, this is great, this is great, this is great, this is great. Step on the rake. Donk. Oh, that's stupid. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and maybe it's not a huge deal. Because most, as we learned from the data coming out of the court proceedings, most people pay for Ultimate anyway, right? So maybe it's not a huge deal. But if you could convert some of those $10 a month people to $11 a month people by just getting rid of this stupid middle thing. That's more money for you.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you do that? Like, just put online play in the console offering for the extra $1. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
That's kind of my thing is that's the whole reason people have paid for. If you're coming from Xbox Live, that's the only reason you're still paying for it, is to play online with your friends.
Yes.
Those people are already not super into Game Pass probably because they aren't doing it. If they were interested in it, they probably already would have done it.
Right.
I get saying like, hey, we want to get rid of Xbox Live in favor of just making everything under the Game Pass brand, right? But
Completely agree.
But don't make that a lesser experience for people who already aren't in the Game Pass ecosystem, because they're going to look at it and go, I really don't fucking want that now. If nothing else, I don't want it out of spite because you have treated me poorly, right?
Exactly.
So it makes no sense to me. Like, I even thought that, and I still think that the PlayStation Plus tiers are convoluted as all hell.
Yes, completely agree.
But I'm looking at it, and every single one of their tiers offers online multiplayer access.
Yeah.
Xbox, you have been the online multiplayer console since the Xbox 360.
Before even. Like,
yeah, you were the first one that did it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they weren't the first one. Sega experimented with it with the Dreamcast.
Let me rephrase it. They're the first ones that successfully did it.
Yes, they were the first ones that actually made it functional and worked well.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That's fair. That's a fair assessment. Why make that experience worse now? It's just stupid.
It's a step on the rake moment.
Yeah.
Like, it's just this is silly and it's arbitrary and it's, like trying to squeeze the last dollar out, right? Like, thing of like, okay, why does this middle tier exist if it doesn't include online play? Right?
Yeah.
And I understand not everybody plays games online. I understand that. Right? That's sort of one of the arguments I've seen is like, well, I don't play online multiplayer games, so for me, this makes sense. There's a ton of games on Game Pass that are just online multiplayer games. If you have access to the full library, if you're paying for full access to the library, I want to be able to play all the games that are on the service that I'm paying for.
Yeah, well, and outside of that too, like, great, you don't play video games online. You're still paying $1 fucking more a month and not having that option if you want to have that option. Like, oh, I don't play games online. All right, well, great. You just, met a new partner who loves to play Halo. Or are you just going to be like, I don't play games online? No, you're going to fucking play Halo with them. Shut up. Stop saying stupid things. This is dumb. Admit it's dumb. Like, it makes no fucking sense at all. I agree with you entirely.
Again, if they just put online play in console, this is great.
Yeah.
Literally fix that one thing and the whole rest of this is awesome.
Yeah, or just like get rid of the name of console if you want it to be Game Pass Core and make it the price of console. Like if you just want it to be branded that way, just do that. But I feel like console, PC, Ultimate makes way more sense.
Yes.
Because like console, I get to play these on my console. PC, I get to play it on my PC. Ultimate, I get both. Like, yay. I don't understand, man. It's so dumb.
They're stepping on it.
Yeah.
Like, why are they just stepping on it for no discernible reason?
This kind of feels like a moment of there was someone who thought this was a good idea that was probably higher up, and everyone else at their desk going, this is fucking stupid. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. This is never going to work. And then he went, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, all the ideas around this are good. Integrate everything into the Game Pass branding. Good idea. Make the experience of the lowest tier not dirtball. Good idea. Like, there's good ideas here. It's just this one little thing that, like, I guarantee you it was somebody fucking doing bookkeeping that's like, oh, but if we make Game Pass for console the good option that everybody will actually want, people won't pay for Ultimate anymore. People will still pay for fucking Ultimate, right?
Yeah.
Like, for sickos like us, I will absolutely goddamn pay for Ultimate because I want everything on everything all of the time. I want to be able to play games on cloud. I want access to EA Play.
Yeah.
I want to play a game on my Xbox and then move to the office and play that same game on my PC because I'm a sick man. I don't have a life. Like, we'll do it. It's okay. Like, but for people that don't need all of that, just making the console offering that costs a little bit more than the core still worth your fucking time by being able to play games online with it, just makes sense. Just
Yeah.
do it. It's so dumb.
It really does. And like I said, even like, I could absolutely see them saying it's not going to be only $1 more a month and saying it's $2 more a month than it has been for 20 years. When did the Xbox 360 come out? Jesus, dude. That price hasn't gone up in so long. Like,
yeah,
I can see saying, look, man, we got to give you all these games and online play. It's going to be $2 more, man. Like, times are tough. $2 after 20 years, it feels kind of fair. This isn't we put this out and we've raised the price $2 every year since the beginning of it. It's you're getting more out of it now. We're offering more. And I could see where like some people are like, well, I'm not paying $2 more a month for Game Pass, blah, 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 blah. But I feel like most people would do it. And I'll tell you why I think that, Mark. Because Netflix just got rid of password sharing and still grew in subscribers. Instead of people out of spite saying, absolutely not. So that's people adding $15 to $20 a month to their bill every month. Just because Netflix gave them a middle finger, and people still paid them for it. So I think people giving you more things for a very small increase would probably be worth it to just about everyone.
Yeah, I think it would be okay.
And if it's not, what are you going to do? Not play games online with your friends? Like, where are you going to go? PlayStation? They do the same thing. You have to pay for it there too. PC? Cool. Your machine now costs 3 times as much money as your Xbox did.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, again, it's just one of those things that, like, if Microsoft just did the obvious thing, everyone would be happy.
Yeah.
And they're so fucking close. That's the other thing that gets me is, like, they have these moments all the time where they're so fucking close to doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Where everything else is great. Everything else is perfect.
Yeah.
And then they just do this one dumb, little, shitty, stupid middle thing. That's like, why did you do that? Like,
yeah.
It's so
like,
close to being a perfect system. It's so close.
Yeah. And, like, my big thing is, like, I get it. You're never going to please everyone, right? There's always going to be people that were going to be pissy about Xbox Live going away because, I don't know, they got nothing else going on other than to be mad about something like this. But 99% of people would have been pleased with it, right? They would have said, that's fine. These are things that I use every single day of my life, and I'm going to keep using them. But instead they went, what if we made it really dumb? Here you go.
Yeah.
And it's probably somebody, like you said, somebody that does bookkeeping somewhere, or some investor that was like, well, I mean, if we do it this way, they'll have to pay for the other one. Or went, we could make pennies extra. We must do this. Instead of, hey, let's do something logical and good for a consumer for once. Like, fuck that, dude.
When Xbox has built its brand on being the most consumer-friendly console.
Yeah, and that's like what, and that's what Phil Spencer always talks about, right? Like, he's always saying, I want everyone to have access to video games. I think it's dumb that games are exclusive. Like, I don't want to make games exclusive, and we have to, obviously, because that's the world we live in. So we're gonna have to sell consoles somehow, right? But like, they were the ones pushing for crossplay and multiplayer for so long. And there were other companies that I won't name who were holding out on that, trying to get people to lock into their console only. Why is this the time that they went, we're not going to be consumer friendly?
Right.
We hate them. We hate the consumer.
I don't know necessarily that it's a hate the consumer thing, more of like a
Well, they sure shit don't like them or respect them, Mark.
like, well, sure. I mean, obviously. I don't know that it's necessarily that. I think it's more of just like a, well, this is the way we've always done it. Like, dumb thing.
What if
right?
we
like,
made it worse?
You're right. Like, I think it's just a silly ass backwards thing that I don't understand why they did it this way.
I really don't
Again,
either.
All the rest of the offering is awesome. I want to make that clear. I think core is a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think putting everything under the Game Pass umbrella is a great idea.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think all the offerings in all the other tiers are great and make total sense. I don't know why console doesn't include online play. That's the only thing I would change. If everything else stayed exactly the same and they made that change, I'd go, it's perfect.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Beautiful. Go out into the world, Xbox Game Pass, and thrive.
Yeah.
But it's just, again, one stupid decision that spoils the whole fucking broth for me.
Exactly.
Like, no reason you had to do this.
Yeah.
Fix this shit.
There really isn't. I don't get it at all.
I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I understand, Microsoft, you're clearly watching and listening to our show, so if you could send us an email, sparkpass@gmail.com, and explain what the fuck you were thinking with this one, that'd be great. Maybe we'll read it on the show.
Yeah, for sure. I would love that. If you could explain what the fuck you were thinking on this one, I think that would be grand.
Yeah.
At the end of the day...
You're still probably not going to convince me it's not stupid, but you could certainly try.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, I pay for Ultimate anyway. So this doesn't affect me.
And like you said, like, it was a very large percentage of people who pay for Ultimate anyway.
Right.
But the people who aren't paying for Ultimate are probably the people who have already been holdouts. And this is not convincing them that this is a better system.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Like, if you want to convert that last 20 to 30%, and you're never going to convert everybody.
Oh, for sure, right? Like, there's always going to be people who, like we said, just aren't happy with this because they don't want anything to change at all. Even though it's basically the same thing, but with more things added to it. But those people who are, like, on the fence or who are rational and would say, well, I mean, I get it. We have to get rid of this old service. You know, everything under one umbrella makes more sense from a consumer and a business standpoint, really. It's less confusing, typically, to say everything is just Game Pass and there's different tiers of it. It's the same thing streaming services do with we have ad tiers and ad-free tiers, right? You pay a little bit more, you get a slightly bigger or better experience in some way. But to have this, like, weird discrepancy over a fucking $1, it's like, well, I've been the holdout for a long time, and now if I want to play games online with my friends, I get screwed if I don't spend the $1, and I get screwed if I spend the $1. Well, I'm definitely not going to spend the $8 because this is leaving a really bad taste in my mouth.
Right, exactly. That's the thing for me. It's like, all of this is over $1 in price difference. You'd think it'd be very easy for them to go, hey, you pay for core already, right? Well, if you pay me just $1 more, I'll give you access to 275 additional games.
Yep.
That's such an easy fucking sell. Like,
yeah.
If I hear that and I'm a holdout, it's like, well, fuck, dude, it's $1.
It's $1, yeah. Like, it's $12 a year. Like, I get it. Money's tight for pretty much everyone in the world that isn't a bad person who's a billionaire. I get it. You know, dollars and cents count, right? But if that is something that you are that core dedicated to, that you've been paying monthly to play online with your friends, to play all of your games and stuff, that's probably something that you can fit in a budget, right? $1.
Extra $1 a month work.
But then going, well, give us $1 more, but lose online gaming capabilities. You want to keep that and have all the games? Well, that's going to be $8 more, sir. And it's like, well, I mean, you know, kind of same thing. Most people could probably get that to work in their budget, but like, that's a bigger amount of money, which is not none, right? That is still a big problem. And also, again, Well, you just gave me a giant middle finger and said, give me $8. I'm not super convinced that I should do that.
Yeah, it just, again, fix this one thing and it's perfect.
Yeah. Just breaks my brain, dude.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I get it. I'm not a billionaire genius, but fucking come on.
Like, listen, even if I was a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, inventor, god, king, eternal, even if I was, like, you'd think people with that much fucking money can see the logic in things like this, but apparently not. So anyway, I hope they fix this one dumb thing. They still have time. None of this rolls out until September. So
yeah, and I feel like what we have said has been most of the feedback on this, right?
Yeah.
You know, like we said, there's been a few people that were just like, I just don't want it. I want it to be live forever. But most people that I've seen were like, these tiers don't make sense. Like, this math ain't mathin', bud. Yeah. And I feel like maybe they could take that response and go, okay, let's do a little shuffling here and reworking, and still roll it out on time, right?
Yeah, there's no reason they couldn't just go, hey, we're going to bump console up by $2, but we'll include the online play. I think most people would go like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think most people would go like, yeah, okay.
You know what? This is going to sound really bad, but there's a lot of people that may have never even noticed.
Yep.
And at this point, they still may not, right? Like, they could make that change, say, hey, we're taking Xbox Live from Xbox Live Gold to Game Pass Core or Game Pass Console, whichever term they want to keep. I don't care. And most people would have went, I still get to play online? And I get games? All right, whatever. And then they just have it on auto pay, don't even notice that it changed.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
But instead, they went, what if we did something dumb? That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Man, I don't know. Like, hopefully this is something they fix up, they patch up. Hopefully
I hope so too, because I think this has like the perfect opportunity to get that Game Pass name and umbrella as the only thing that they have, right?
Yep.
Like, it could have been great. It has the chance to get those people who have been holdouts to move over, and then Microsoft can basically move forward with their lives and not have to worry about gold ever again. They just have to do that little extra legwork to get there now.
Yep. It's yet another step on the rake moment for Team Xbox.
Yeah.
And hopefully they learn from it this time.
Hey, you people at Xbox who looked at this originally and were probably like, not C-level employees who get to make decisions and leaned over to like the people in like the cubicle next to you and went, this is fucking stupid. Like all of us have done at a job. Like,
yes.
When the higher up is making a dumb decision, we see you. You are validated. And I really hope that if they change this, you all celebrate together collectively in a small moment of, told you.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. Like, it's just one of those things that, like, man, I don't understand how they arrived at the conclusion they arrived at, right?
I just don't either. Like, I almost just want to understand it.
Yeah.
I want to know how this became the right idea, right? I want to get that just so I understand what the hell is going on in some people's heads.
It was probably well-intentioned, right? It was probably part of a conversation of like, oh, well, not everybody plays online. Should there be a tier that's like, hey, you don't pay for the online service, but you still get access to the games? Oh, that's kind of a cool idea. And then it just got jumbled up in the fucking sauce and became this dumb thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And like, if anything, it should have been flip-flopped, right? Game Pass Core should have been the $9 without online play, if that's what they really want for some godforsaken reason.
Right.
And then console be the $1 more and have all the games and the online play. And maybe that was the intention of whoever brought it up. They went, all right, we'll make it like $1 or $2 cheaper. They don't get online. Cool. They're happy still. Make it $2 more. You get online. You're happy still. And then somebody somewhere lost that in translation and went, okay, we'll flip it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the logic was, but like, Microsoft, if you're in a fixing mood, this is something you can fix that would make people happy and would frankly probably get a lot of people to stop paying you $10 a month and start paying you $11 a month.
Yeah.
And that's good for you.
Yeah.
So, like, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Just
do it.
Yeah. Just do it.
Just do it.
Like, we're not above being critical of Xbox here when they do dumb shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll tell anybody they said something dumb. I don't care.
You did some dumb shit, we'll let you know. But anyway, that's Game Pass Core. Good idea, maybe not the best execution.
Yep. 100%.
That's where I'm at on it. Like, good. Their heart was in the right place, but like, come on, bro, fix that.
Yep.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, everybody. That'll wrap things up for the Spark Pass news update. That's everything that's going on in the world of Game Pass. Thank you guys so much for stopping in. We really appreciate you stopping in our new home on YouTube. This is our first live show on YouTube for the news show. So if you're listening to this on your podcast feeds, hey, we're doing everything on YouTube now. Come to the YouTube channel. Leave a comment down below. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want. If you don't, I will literally come find you. If
That
I know
escalated so quickly.
I will. I have a very particular set of skills. If you want to follow us on social media, Threads, Instagram, TikTok. Those are the places we're focusing on now. Everything else, fuck them. That's at SparkPass in all of those places. YouTube as well as youtube.com/@SparkPass. You can get to the YouTube channel that way rather than typing an 84-key URL.
Yep.
So go to all those places, support the show, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Music and all those other places too, because the audio feeds ain't going nowhere, baby. Next week, we have our I Pick You Pick Indie stream, our I Pick You Pick Indie Game Pass Game of the Month Club show. We're talking about 2 games. We're talking about Amnesia: The Bunker, which we've been playing on Sundays on the stream over here. And we're going to be talking about Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. That's coming out next week, so come check that episode out next Tuesday. But until then, everybody, thanks so much for stopping in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.